Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Breaking Keyfabe. I am your host, Larry, or Brandon Walker for this, if whatever you like to prefer for Breaking Keyfabe. And I'm going to be able to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Taylor on here with us to talk about himself and wrestling with pride. I'm excited for this. Hope you all are as well. And I do hope everybody's having a great day, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all may be. Welcome, Taylor.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. I'm glad that we can finally get this going.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to work this time because it's clear as crystal. I can see and hear you.
And guess what? I updated my Facebook this morning too, so I make sure that thing's updated whenever I go live in general now. I'm just like, update, update.
I don't understand, though, why an app like Facebook needs to be updated as much as it does. I mean, Christ almighty.
I get it. Like, for real, it's just like with how Facebook is, there's a lot of people that got rid of Facebook to use other platforms. And I'm like, I think I'm one of the rarest people still that use it besides a few other people I know like this. And it's like, bro,
Yeah.
come on, man. I'm just trying to get through a live, trying to get people's story. What are you doing to me? But I know that last time we are going to begin with the same question that we did last time, now that we can actually get this going. And my first question was, what's your background, or like, what's your wrestling background, and how do you get involved in this industry?
So it goes right back to the Attitude Era, really, is when I started watching like the big leagues, WWE or WWF as it was at the time. I was always intrigued by the theatrical side of wrestling. You know, your flamboyant characters like your Gold Dusts and stuff, and I think also the fact that characters such as Kane, The Undertaker, Gangrel, The Brood, the Hardy Boys, the Big Boss Man, they were larger than life, and it sort of attracted us to watching it in that way. I watched it right up till about I think it was around about the Ruthless Aggression era, as they now call it. Like severe John Cena's coming through, and I kind of fell off it a bit. Um, I didn't really enjoy it as much. So, I mean, lockdown happened, and then I stumbled across, obviously, CCW, a local promotion to where I lived, where I live now, down in Durham, the coalfields. I stumbled across them. They were doing their thing online during the pandemic and stuff, and it kind of just it became quite a break from reality because life was quite difficult, not only for the fact that we're going through a pandemic, but also personal life was a bit unsteady. Um, and I found a place to be involved.
Okay. And you also used to do, I don't know if you still do this today, do you still dress up like Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, yeah. Often I wear a deer stuck whenever I walk the dog. Um, so the whole character sort of that I built up at the time was a character called Taylor Truth. Um,
Hmm.
and it was all about spitting facts about. And I think it started originally. It was like a talk show. I used to run a podcast on a Tuesday. Funny enough, it's a Tuesday today, which is quite bizarre. It would only be 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, and it would be just going through, what had happened and all the rest of it. There's a few comments there coming up. So the whole view, I've always liked the DS Stalker, and I've always been a fan of Sherlock Holmes, and it kind of just all fit together. People are giving us the name of the Smooth Talk and the DS Stalker, and yeah, so it became part of who I am, wearing tweed, and yeah, it was good fun, all good fun.
And welcome, Mr. Prince Dagon. He says, evening. Ethan Dixon says, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome, Ernest Mitchell. Welcome, Brian Chaplow, the Imperial referee. He says, evening. And your friend Kane Mitchell says, we love Taylor Troops. Welcome, Chris Cleve. Welcome, brothers.
Thanks very much. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, yes. And you talk about running a podcast, and didn't you also have a podcast for, I believe this was for Wrestling with Pride alone, if I'm not mistaken, Beyond the Rainbow?
Yeah, so well, it was hosted by what do you call it? Ruby Baker, our ring
Okay.
announcer. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it was a sort of a step beyond the rainbow, a bit like Beyond the Curtain, which Imperial Wrestling do. Obviously, this is the same sort of thing behind the curtain of what wrestling in reality, sort of thing.
Oh, sorry, Michael. I meant to say Michael, not Mitchell. That is my bad. Actually called Cade Mitchell, not Cade Michael. It's Cade Michael. Sorry.
Yeah, what's it? Because Kane will give you a virus. He is the virus.
I believe it. Now, how did Wrestling with Pride come to be what inspired its creation?
So obviously, I was still working with CCW at the time, going through the motions. I'd done pretty much a bit of everything there, which I'm extremely grateful for doing. I think it did give us the experience to get where I am today. I refereed. I'm terrible at that. I ring announced. I did podcasts. Ring announced. Don't think I did any commentary there. Maybe I didn't do any commentary there, but I did do commentary very early on in Breakout Champion. Is it Breakout Championship Wrestling or is it just Breakout? Anyway, Breakout. A friend
Okay.
of mine, he runs Breakout Pro Wrestling. I think it is. Their outfit's coming back this year as well. Um, and it kind of so at the time, obviously CCW had a couple of brands. It had two brands. It had Carnage, which was the over 18s, inspired by the events of Pitted Punishment. And then there was an idea of a Pride sort of brand of wrestling. And I'll be honest with you, initially, and anyone close to us who was around at the time would agree, I said it was a really bad idea. I found it was too sort of clingy and it was too bandwagony. We're jumping on the bandwagon of other things, and I wasn't a massive fan. Anyway, push comes to shove. Took on the role to run that. Ran some very very successful shows. Brought some new talent into the promotion. I guess when my time there was up, and I was told to leave, um, I thought I could still do this, because the last show I did under that banner was the first one in Newcastle, Alive with Pride, and it was like I say, it was a huge event, and I brought loads of great wrestlers into the northeast for this show, and it was just watching them do their thing, and I'd heard their stories about the struggle to get booked all year round. And Pride season was busy for them. It's not always the case, but Pride season was busy for the LGBTQ plus wrestlers that I was working with. So I kind of just thought, well, I mean, maybe I can have a go and do this myself, and it's a big job to do on your own, and I've had to ask for help, um, and yeah, I have got loads of people around us who support us. Um, Ruby Baker, ring announcer. Well, she ring announcers at IWF as well, which is obviously works with me there, Wrestling with Pride. She's like me right hand woman. She kind of is the one I go to. But I've got a massive catalogue of people who I can turn to, who I've worked with over the years. Like Dagon himself, Colin Barker, um, Ronnie the Don Bronson, Jam Dog. All these people I've worked with on other shows, and Ewan G. Mackey as well, despite the fact that he's a little pillock. Um, I've got a massive and since I've started this, I've branched out and learned and met loads of new people who are always on hand to help.
That's great. I'm glad that you were able to make these connections through your time here. Ethan stated you were right. It's called Breakout Wrestling, and he said,
Yeah.
"I wish I could still come to Wrestling with Pride shows. Keep smashing it. Wrestling with Pride is an amazing promotion in your area. Go down to it if you're down there." And welcome, Vexy. And Dagon said, "Since going independent, you can see you are flying shackles off and shooting straight to the moon. Wow." Big praise.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's kind of like you like the touch paper, but I think to be honest, even coming out Championship Wrestling, like the touch paper of that, and it was really going places. Obviously to do my own spin on that with Wrestling with Pride. Again, it is. And to be fair, I mean credit where credit's due. Coming out Championship Wrestling, I was given full creative control. And I was given 100%, the lead on what I did with that. And there was very rarely any kickback. Um, but again, times have changed, and now I'm looking in a different direction, and I'm loving every minute of it. I'm really enjoying wrestling as it is. It's very stressful though, running to something like this, but yeah, it pays off.
Who gave you the reins to this glorious company?
Well, I created it from the ground up. I kind of took
Okay.
off on my own, and I just said, I'm going to do this on my own terms, and I'm going to sort of I've got ideas about what I want to do and how I want it to shape up to be, and yeah, just kind of launched into it. I think I'd only been gone from CCW a few days and launched Wrestling with Pride, and there was such a huge buzz about it online, and yeah, it continues to grow.
You've worked with other companies while being part of Wrestling with Pride. And at first, the reason I asked that, like the previous question, was because I thought you said you were given the full rankings, but now I get what you meant by that.
Oh
I get it
no,
now.
sorry.
Yeah.
When I was with CCW running coming out championship wrestling for
Oh,
them, I was given full control over that creatively. There was never any sort of kickback, or I was supported quite heavily in what I did there with that project. So I can't fault CCW for that in that respect. I was given full reign, but wrestling with pride. Obviously, new thing, new leaf to play with, and new city to build from the ground. It's going really well.
that's wonderful. I've been seeing a lot of praise to it, and I've been a fan of Wrestling with Pride, and I love what you do, and I can't wait to see you continue to thrive. And you've worked with other companies being a part of Wrestling with Pride. How have they helped shape what your company has become?
I mean, to be honest, without the support from Colin Barker, Ronnie, and the Dropkick Championship Wrestling team, there would be no wrestling with Pride because the ring that they hire us, and we don't have access to a wrestling ring, so they provide us with a great service there. The support for everything that I get from Prince Dagon and Joe over at Imperial Wrestling Federation. Obviously, there's a lot of cross use of talent because we are really close. We're really good friends outside of the wrestling as well. Unfortunately, we don't get much kicked up social time because we're all busy with shows. But when we do get together, it's always a hoot. Like Sir Brian Chaplow, absolutely amazing example of a referee, very professional in what he does, and he's always innovative. So he's always innovative to try and create a better experience, not only for the wrestlers but the companies he works for as well. So if anybody out there is looking for a referee in the northeast, I mean, you can travel within reason. Give Brian a shout, but that's what it's like. It's a massive, big, supportive network, and there's no reason why independent wrestling companies shouldn't work together. The same with Alba Championship Wrestling. I'm very supportive of what they do up in Scotland. I've worked on 2 shows for them now, and I've attended as a fan. And yeah, everyone's doing really good things, and everyone supports each other. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've all got our own nest to build, but yeah, I mean, it is a very good environment, and there's always help out there if I need it.
Now, when it comes to the core philosophy behind WWP Wrestling with Pride, I would imagine, like you stated earlier, it kind of revolves around the LGBTQ community, but you accept everybody that comes through.
Yeah, I think see it's a bit of a misconception really because it is an LGBTQ plus themed sort of promotion where
Okay.
it opens the door to give those people an opportunity to showcase their talent, but it wouldn't be anything without its allies. So whether people are heterosexual or whatever persuasion they want to be, it wouldn't be what it is without them. So we're open. Everyone's welcome. And like I said to somebody recently, I think it was actually at the Wrestling with Pride show that we just done. Um, Bash and Baker there. I said to somebody, pride comes in many forms. Whether you're proud of where you live, or you're proud of your football team, or you're proud of yourself, or you're proud of where you belong in a community. It doesn't really make any difference. And if you take the rainbow off the Wrestling with Pride logo, it could mean anything. So we're all about community pride as well, and making people feel that they're proud of where they're from. So it encompasses many things, but the core thing is about giving a platform to those who want to perform, who normally don't get the opportunity to perform anywhere else.
Have there been people that have worked for you could never get an opportunity somewhere else because of probably how they're represented?
No, I don't think it's about how they're
Okay.
represented. I just think I think there's a shift in the sort of landscape of it at the moment. But when through a stage, it might have been the same way you are, where every time Pride season came around, every company in the city would be rainbow coloured, and they would support the LGBTQ plus
Yeah.
community. But
Yeah.
and in turn, I mean that's not a bad thing, but it becomes a corporate commercial thing. Wrestling promotions would do a Pride show, within the year, the calendar, and they
Yeah.
would invite the talent that represent that community along. But outside of that sort of area of wrestling and the time of year it was, some of the talent had expressed to me. I'm not saying it's in like a problem everywhere, but they did express that outside of Pride season that they do struggle to get bookings. So I think it kind of opened the door of me saying, well, we're going to have 4 or 5 shows a year, and they're all yours. You'll be welcome to wrestle all year. All year. So that's how it's kind of panned out, really.
It's about acceptance. Like, and I'm glad that you have a place for that. And it seems like everybody else accepts it. Like, there are still those that don't accept it, but I'm glad that there's like places out there that do accept it because people are still people. It doesn't matter who or what they are, you
Oh,
know?
taking wrestling out of it, not getting too political. I think the world's in a funny place at the moment where it could easily fall back right, if it wanted to,
Hmm.
with the pace of you know, the motions of the world is going. But in terms of wrestling in the United Kingdom and probably parts of America as well, um, very lucky and very protected to be who you are. And you've got it still happens. Negativity towards
Yeah,
the community still happens, but it's about being together and standing together.
exactly. Well said, Taylor. Thank you for that. What sets your company apart from other promotions?
Um, I don't think there's much. I don't think what we do sets us apart, but it certainly is very niche, and it isn't for everybody. And I totally appreciate that. It might not be for everybody, but the wrestlers that I'm working with are extremely experienced, and I think if there was a problem with how we are doing things, they probably wouldn't work there with this. So I think what sets us apart is we are different and we're not afraid to be that, and we're unapologetically who we are. And if you don't like it, then you can lump it basically.
How do you balance showcasing talent with telling compelling stories?
Say that again.
How do you balance showcasing talent with telling compelling stories?
To be honest, it's quite difficult because I book things as a fan, and I sometimes get carried away. So I have to sometimes be reined in by people close to us. I think if somebody is talented and experienced, they can tell any story. And I think it's important that you give people the opportunity to be creative with how you sort of book things and plan matches and build a card. So I'm very open to discussions with people about what they want to achieve from that sort of story, or I give them an input on what they want to do with it, really.
Okay. What's the most important aspect of a Wrestling with Pride event or just a show in general? Just like, what's the most important aspect, would you say?
Um, Having fun. Um,
Okay.
and doing the job safely and having fun. I think what's important to me is the environment. Um, I think the environment backstage has to be right, and by that I mean everyone has to work together, treat each other with respect, and I'm a big advocate of, if it's not right, then we'll put it right, if it needs to be. But we've had very little issues, so I can't really say we have had any major things. But yeah, I think the environment has to be correct for the talent to do what they want to do.
And you basically go to the same home base, or are you guys also looking to go to other cities around your area more?
So we've got a home base in Newcastle and Baker at the moment. It serves a great purpose. It's an excellent venue, good size. Um, Wrestling events in the UK tend to be in places like social clubs and in city halls, community halls, because they're easily accessible and affordable for small promotions. We are extremely young in terms of promotion, and I have to stress this a lot when I'm planning things, that we aren't as big as the other local promotions like Main Event Wrestling nearby, Full Tilt Wrestling nearby. They're massive. They've been going for years. North being the bigger promotion in the northeast. We're never going to, at the moment, be anywhere near them, but it's about being realistic, I think.
Welcome, Alfie Jackson, and Ethan said the cars always look amazing from what I've seen. And welcome, MG. See, you get a lot of praise. Like even before I had there's a lot of praise to you, and it sounds like you got a great support behind you, which is amazing. I love it.
I think it's been. I think every time I do a show briefing, I tell the guys, girls, and everybody else. I tell them, you get out of this what you're going to put in, and if you're not going to put in the effort and you're not going to put in the work and work together, then you're not going to get much out of it. I think well, and the other good thing about show days for me is when I hand it over to them. I say to them, my job as a promoter is the sort of the man who makes the decisions is done. It's now over to you to put on a damn good show, and they go out there and they do it. So I kind of complain. I'm very very lucky to be surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded with.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, do you want to run us through a typical process, a typical production process, like for when you're about to run a show, when you're planning a show? You said that Ruby's your right hand lady. Is it just you two always booking the things and stuff, or do you have other people part of your team? Or
So yeah, I do have a very small team, and I like to keep that team quite confidential. The reason I do that is because I've found in the past places I've been, if people know who's on a certain team of creative, and it's public knowledge, and something goes their way, there's a lot of kickback of, oh well, they're only getting it because they're on the creative team, or and so the team that I work with, there's only four of us, and I keep it very very close to me chest. And now this year, it didn't so much last year, but this year is all about us four working together to get the card put together. And the typical process probably is, we'll release the show dates. We have a meeting. We've had a meeting now to sort of discuss where we go within the next year, what our aims are, what our main stories are going to be, and anything that we're sort of planning. Big one at the moment is Pride Mania, which is going to be a community outdoor event, but I'll come to that a bit later on. So yeah, I mean, it varies from show to show. The last show I've just done, the Bash and Biker, was a huge show. Came with massive obstacles in terms of the size of the card. So we're adapting how we'll do it next time. But yeah, it's about living and learning, isn't it, really?
Well, I actually do have the Bash and Biker Show written down for when we do go over it because I would love to go over that. And if you don't mind me promoting it, your Pride Mania is set for May 23rd, right? Unless date change.
That is correct, yes. It is going to be an outdoor event. It's going to be pay on the gate what you can afford. So there's going to be no set ticket price as such. So families can. I think everyone should be able to and enjoy not only a wrestling show, but they should also be able to enjoy a community event that's affordable for them. So it's going to be a case of donate on the gate what you can afford. We're going to have stalls from the community markets, food vendors, wrestling. We've got two bands lined up, a DJ playing some music, and then also a to close the show, we're gonna have like a steel pan band playing some music at the end. But yeah, it's still a very fluid thing. It's building momentum as it's going, and I'm getting some nice businesses on board to help out. But yeah, it's all about the community. This event.
Welcome, Jake Butler. And Ethan, he basically just answered your question there. There's going to be music. It's going to be a lot of things there. It's not just going to be wrestling. There's going to be fun there.
Yeah. It's going to be there's actually a local school. I've got a singing like a choir. I'm trying to get them on board to come and do a song at the start. Again, it's a massive project, but it's work. It's building itself up.
Well said. Well said. I can't wait to talk about your events more because I have your events coming up that are coming up, and I believe I have some of your past events that we can also go over when we do get to that. So there's a lot we will go over here. I'm excited for this. How do you handle talent acquisition and development?
So it's interesting because I've only really looked out into the ether for wrestlers and talent based on the ones that I've seen and liked. So I mean, to just start off with a couple of examples, Shay Monet, a massive fan of Shay, and I've watched him for many years on the independent circuit. And to work with him now is absolutely fantastic. But to be honest, when we launched shows, the inbox just went on fire. We had, I think at one point I had 99 messages or 98 messages of wrestlers submitting CVs, which is great, but it's about looking for what fits the bill and sort of what I'm looking for in terms of wrestlers, whether it's character wrestlers or typical trunks and muscles wrestlers, or whether it's your high fly and light heavyweights and stuff. So yeah, it's a difficult process, and sometimes I get carried away by character work. So I mean, there's a wrestler just joined us recently called Venus. She's like our Rhea Ripley. She's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, and I also get recommendations as well. People will recommend us because of their experience with us, and then they'll get in touch and sort of want to come down and work. But it's to a point now where I've got that many people who want to be involved, and I've got that many people I'm sort of talking with. It's difficult to keep track, so I'm trying to organise myself a bit better with that.
Well, I do hope that all gets organized. I would imagine that you have a lot of people that want to be a part of it. So you're probably with Mania, like probably will be a big show. Like you may have more matches than you thought you would, right?
Well, I still want to try and keep it fairly sort of
Okay. Okay.
normal in terms of the card itself. Obviously, we're going to be crowning the first ever tag team champions, the Pride and Glory tag champs. We're going to be having the main belt, the Pride Revolution Championships on the line. Eddie Jade and Ewan G Mackey. So it's going to feature those two competitions, but there'll be other matches around that we're building at the moment.
Understood. Welcome, Yankee Santiago. Welcome, Raven Moon Grim. And welcome, Jan Matza, who I had on the other day. Welcome. Now, how do you manage business side of things like sponsorship and marketing?
In terms of marketing, I tend to do a lot of that. Well, I do all of that myself in terms of sharing and posting into the right areas of where the community sort of get a grip of it. Recently, I've done a lot of networking with the local LGBTQ plus community groups. I've gave a few talks places to try and gain momentum. In terms of the business side of things, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a fish in a large pond. I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I'm chipping away, chipping away.
What's the biggest challenge or challenges in running a wrestling promotion?
Whew, that's a hell of a question. Um, Staying motivated, I guess. For me personally, it's not that I'm demotivated by some things, but I have a lot of other things that I do as well. Obviously, I work full time. I've got a young nephews to care for on occasion, so it is difficult to keep up with it, which is why having a small team with us helps alleviate some of that. I mean, the likes of DJB, for example, he basically is I think I must harass him more than I harass anybody else for things. He's a genius when it comes to the old tech stuff. So yeah, without those people, again, it comes down to unofficial teamwork. Like I know fine well if I needed something for what we're doing, and I was to reach out to Colin or Joe or John over at IWF, Dagon, I know they'd be there like that. Um, so I guess staying motivated is by just keep on stepping, really.
You've done ring announcing, commentary, and refereeing. How do you approach those compared to running a promotion? Because I would imagine that's really different, but you also have a certain way you have to be with those other jobs.
Yeah, so obviously refereeing I've only done twice. The first time it was terrible. I would never do it again. I was crap referee. Um, Luckily, there's no footage of it because it was terrible. But in terms of ring announcing, I think it was something I never really thought would take off. To be honest with you, the approach to it is just be myself, and I think I've developed a certain style that not many others can touch in terms of. And I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but sometimes you've got to get a point across. I don't know. I seem to have an intricate way of getting the crowd on side pretty quickly. I've worked with some tough crowds, and I've seen what turned them round. Um, in terms of commentary, I mean, I'm always sat next to somebody. Well, it's Colin I'm sat next to, and I know we bounce off each other really well, and we always have a good laugh. So I know with commentary, commentary. I don't really have to think about because I just call what I see, and I'm very passionate that I sometimes get told off for so much swearing. Um, but Colin is very organised as a commentator, and I mean like very, very organised. So if there's anything I'm unsure of, it's always in front of us to skeg his notes or whatever. But I think I just kind of am there for the laugh really when it comes to commentary, calling it as I see it, pushing the stories. I've always been quite good at that, helping stories develop. And I've always said to people, if you need us to be whacked with a chair or you need this, put us in there, do it if it builds the story. But yeah, announcing was me thing that got us sort of rooted here into wrestling, and I do still enjoy it.
One of the greatest announcers I've ever seen is Taylor says Dagon, and he says whenever you announce to me, he gets shivers.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've done some quite historic announcements for Dagon, and I tell you that sometimes I Persona as well. I used to love announcing Persona when he was champion at IWF when they first launched. Some good announcements for him, and yeah, again, you get to work with people who you love announcing. Like I used to love announcing. Again, you don't think he wrestles anymore. A guy called Tommy Diamond, and I've used this example a few times because he's just the build up to his name was always good. Yeah, I enjoy it. I just have fun.
You were also known for your man. I know you've been a manager at times, and one of the first times I ever saw you manage, you were managing. They were called the Thatchers at the time. Thatchers Incorporated. Ronnie and Reggie, and you were dressed up in you were Taylor Troops, of course. How did that come to be? Was that just something that was like you guys always wanted to do, or were you guys just thrusted together?
So Ronnie, obviously behind the character, I spend a lot of time chatting with. I'm good friends with him outside of all of this, and his family as well. And I've got a lot of respect and love for them. And there was when Reggie arrived on the scene, I seen something in them as a tag team that I thought I'd love to work with them. And I was kind of like putting the ideas across to various people. Anyway, it did happen eventually, and it was a good little run that we had. But I do sometimes come across tag teams where I think I would probably take a shot at managing them. I think the dynamic would be good. But no, again, it was a pleasure to work with them. And you never know, I might pop up somewhere else managing somebody else. You just never know.
And if we could talk about that a little bit more, there was like the storyline going on where you like told them not to do something and then they did the opposite of what you wanted. Like I think it was Ronnie that did something and then he like made like trouble for you guys in story.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it was. I bet you went too far. I think, but that actual story, to be honest, the whole thing was there was a lot of work with Dagon and Persona, and
Yes.
there was an attack on the referee Isha, which is Ronnie's daughter in the
Mhm.
life as well. Obviously, then there was the I got kicked, and that part of being a manager for me was what sort of drew us to it because there was always going to be rough action there, and I think I was a good voice to bring them together and sort them out. That I think that's sometimes what a rough and ready tag team need. They need a manager who's brazen to put to put the finger out and see you've ruined this, you've done this, and yeah, I think that was the story where I was telling them off for something.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that in one of the lives you guys would do. I think it was on Ronnie's another one bites the dust, if I remember it correctly, being called. And you came on there and you were like in your like you were like looking off into the camera in the distance, but then you turned and said, "What did I tell you both?" type thing. You know.
Yeah, yeah, aye. Well, that's what I was. I'm like that in real life, though. Um, sometimes I get myself in trouble because I just speak my mind.
Yeah. You're not afraid to speak your mind. It's always good to speak up than to be quiet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, in your personal opinion, do you think having in-ring experience helps with decisions making for a promotion?
Um, Not really, because
Okay.
I say that in one breath, but in the other breath, I think it does. But I mean, it's one of those things where you can manage any team if you've got good leadership qualities, but you cannot always do that job. If you've got experience of that job, then it does make it easier because you understand what's going on in the ring and stuff. But I do always stress that to the people that I work with. As much as I'm booking things and I've got an idea that I want to sort of use to portray, that's why I like them to be very creatively free to speak to me about it. Because some places I know of that it's all about what the promoter wants. Now that always isn't the right thing to do because likewise, I've had minimal in-ring experience, although I have been in the ring, I have wrestled,
Mhm.
if that's what you want to call it. I did give it a whirl. But I wouldn't have said that by any stretch of any experience enough to say what I want fully. And one of the worst questions I get, and I was talking about this recently with somebody, might have been Spawn actually. Um, the question I get asked all of the time, and I hate the question, is, "What do you want from the match?" And again, I'm still quite new to all this game promoting, and I never know what to say, and I just hate the question. I just do not know how to answer it. I just say wrestling, because I don't know what else to say because
Yeah.
I'm still very I wouldn't have said inexperienced. I'm gaining experience as I go, but I'm still not fully savvy with what I really want from a match. As a fan, I know what I would want, but that's not always what's best for business because you want to give them something that's going to shock them. And that's why I like to turn to the talent and say, "Well, what do you think? What's your ideas?" Not always going to agree. Might seem twist or tweak this, but I think it's all about working together.
Good. And I forgot to bring this up earlier when we were talking about, but it was not too long ago that it was your 1 year anniversary running shows in Newcastle, correct?
I'm funny enough, I didn't realise this till the actual day before the show, but I was sure that's just been of the 7th of March. On the 8th of March last year, was our first show in Newcastle, and we ran Alive with Pride. So we've technically been running shows in Newcastle for a year. Yeah, so it's been a full year of fun and games.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Now, you talked about your time getting into the ring. What was it like wrestling the few times that you did, whether it was like a quick thing or even just like a Rumble or Battle Royal? What was it like and what moments stood out to you in those times?
So I think I've been in more rumbles than anything else. I've done a few
Okay.
comedy like appearances as the Dame, but in reference to the in ring stuff, my first rumble appearance was around about a time where I'd lost a number of family members. My sister-in-law had died, my dad had died, and then my brother died. So my first entry to a rumble, the timing was right where I was entering the rumble. You know, I was fighting in his honor, if you like, and I wore a T-shirt with his picture and stuff on. Uh, that rumble, it was almost like I'd been given, do you know that water off Space Jam, the Warner Brothers water,
Yeah.
and they just go wild. That's what it was like. I don't remember anything about it. I just know when I watched it back, I never stopped moving. I striked everything that moved. I'd done some scoop slams, and then I think I was eliminated. But I think again, it just it just flew by, and I really enjoyed the buzz it gave us. And another rumble that I was in, that I went up to the right up to the final two, was with a wrestler called Rarebit. Um, I'd basically, to get to that final two and hear the crowd shouting for your name as just a ring announcer who's, you know, entered into the fray. It was just, it was pulse racing because I'd never done anything that gave us that sort of buzz before. So when people say that they get a buzz from wrestling, actual wrestling, I totally understand where they're coming from, because those moments, as small as they might be to other people, to me were massive, and I thoroughly enjoyed them.
It's awesome. Now, I know you work with quite a few promotions already, but are you looking to plan or collaborate with any others that you would like to, or ones that you are in talks with?
Um, I don't at the moment. Probably, I'm too busy with what I'm doing to want
Okay.
to muddy the puddle. There was talks last year of going up to Scotland to work with Fair City Wrestling. Um, great promotion. They're doing absolutely fantastic things, and I love what they do. It just the timings were wrong. There was we were still very fresh. I wanted to make sure we got our bit right first. So I think at the moment it's about making sure that what we're building at Wrestling with Pride as a team is 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 the best it can be before I showcase it anywhere else. I'd love to take Wrestling with Pride to Scotland, Wales, and beyond. But at the moment, it'll stay in Newcastle, where it'll grow and it'll become something bigger and better than I. Well, I want it to be a rival with bigger promotions, and that's where we'll work. What we'll work on at the moment.
Understood. Welcome,
But
hybrid. Welcome, people.
hi
What?
guys,
Sorry?
independently, like me personally working elsewhere, um, I obviously I'll ring announce for IWF and commentate, and then I've done work with Alba. I mean, there's nothing to say if I had a free weekend, I could take up a gig elsewhere. People that know us know I can do what I say I can do. But yeah, if people, I mean, I wouldn't outwardly say book me, but if somebody needed a ring announce and they were short and I was the last the last resort, you know, if it was good enough to get to, I would do it. Yeah, I would do it.
And you've talked about how you portray the Dame. Do you want to tell us where that came about? How the Dame came to be?
Yeah, so it was quite a it was quite a weird thing because at the time in the story there was a faction, the elite, and they were they were looking for a new member, and it was when Ronnie Thatcher debuted in CW, and obviously there was interviews, and they filmed these interviews in like a boardroom, and Colin was doing the interviews, and the idea came about throwing the Dame in there. And I'd never done drag dressed up like that before, so it was the first time, and it just became an instant hit. And then when the adult shows started, the Dame was allowed to be vile and cruel. Like I say, it was just it was a bit of a hit. I remember being at the bar after the show and I'd undressed, and there was a guy who was like, "Oh, that Dame's a canny lass, isn't she?" I was like, "Bloody hell, it's me." But yeah, it came about. It was only supposed to be a one-off thing, but it seems to have grown its own legs. And yeah, I think the Dame's in more demand than me at times.
I mean, I think personally, no matter whether you're Dame or Taylor, I feel you get that reaction and you're really well loved. Like, I think that's one of the things whether no matter who you're loved. That's what I could tell.
I think I'm just quite good at staying in my own lane. You know, a lot of people have multi-carriage syndrome where they're dodging from lane to lane, and I'm quite good at just staying in my lane, doing my own thing and supporting everybody around us if I can, and saying nothing that's going to get you into bother. That's my motto. Well, it is nowadays anyway. Back in the old days, I would cause loads of mischief, but not now.
And I saw when Alba After Dark was first starting, I believe the Dame was one of their people on there.
Yeah, so I went up to Alba, did the Dame duties there. Had a I think I laid out a few stunners actually. Yeah, it was a good gig. I really enjoyed Alba. I mean, I love Jam, and Craig Forsyth's an absolute legend, and all of the Alba. Every time I go to Alba, I meet somebody new, which is the good thing about going to other shows because you network and you meet people, and yeah, great stuff.
What is the most rewarding part about running Wrestling with Pride?
Um, just seeing the team go out there and do their thing. In fact, at the last show, I normally on the show days I'm doing the music, the lights. My nephew does the bell and keeps us company, but he wasn't there, so I did have some show assistants to help. Donna and Alan came along, and a young lad called Ryan. They were helping with all sorts, and it was a great thing to have because I was able to be backstage and mingle with the troops and prepare each other. And for the main event, I was the only person behind the curtain. And Nico Astro, sorry, Austin Brooks, Eddie Jade, and the champion, and then Nico Astro went out. And Nico Astro's music, and if anybody hasn't seen Nico Astro, he's only on Instagram, I believe, but what a fantastic, talented individual Nico is. But anyway, I was sat backstage, and the curtains, obviously, Nico went out with his music, and the music always gets me anyway, because it's a song that means a lot to us. And I watched the match from behind the curtain, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. And Ruby came backstage to find us, and I was like, I'm so like, I think I was to say I was overwhelmed with pride without like the pun intended. I was really proud as to what we'd done. Um, and the build up to the that week before the show was quite a difficult week. I had some health things going on before, and then I had after the show I had surgery to go to, and so it was a tough week. And I think for me, just seeing everyone have fun and hearing the crowd get what they want, cheering for those who they want to cheer or booing the bad guys and girls. Yeah, it's there's a lot of emotions there, but that last show, sat backstage watching it on my own for the first time was just it was something special. Like
Yeah, I think you made a post about it, if I'm not mistaken, being at the last show, right?
yeah, it really sort of tugged on the heartstrings a bit, being there and just watching it from the back. It was a moment. It really was.
A moment that will never be forgotten.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
How do you see Wrestling with Pride evolving in the next few years?
Well, I think I'd like to sort of move to a more when I say professional, I mean more professional looking sort of venue. I'd like to be on some form of television streaming service. That's where I think I'd like to go with it. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself either. I think I'd still want to be doing things. I'd want Wrestling with Pride to still be around, more importantly, and just doing what it does best, and that's putting on a damn good show and everyone having a good time.
What's the biggest surprise or learning experience since running Wrestling with Pride and being in wrestling in general?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, well, I think it doesn't really sort of come to me, but knowing that it doesn't have to be hard work, it doesn't have to be sort of filled with drama, and it doesn't have to be filled with animosity amongst each other, and it can be really pleasant, actually. Like, I mean, I can't lie. I work with a great team, from the referee to obviously my nephew. I don't really have much choice with him being the ring bell man, but then I have like the sound team, cracking group of people. commentary team, um, and everybody right up to the talent. It's just one of those things that, like, I think it's important to not forget that everything in that picture makes the jigsaw. Um, so yeah, it's just it's a special thing.
Welcome, Amy Elizabeth Baker. She says, "Evening, all."
Yes, she's probably been doing her hair. Why she's late.
Now, you've talked how you shows. How do you handle the pressure of putting on a show?
I generally drink copious amounts of tea, which isn't abnormal for me, and I lean on people close to us. So it's generally Amy, Ruby Baker. I'll vent to her because it is quite a pressuring thing. And the other part of the creative board team that I've created are extremely intricate, and that, without them, I don't think I could get through some of the shows we do, because like, I don't have a massive sort of. I would have said I have a massive team that I have to do things for us. I lean on them a lot, um, but it can be really pressuring. I think on a show, I don't sleep the day before a show. I cannot sleep. Every show I've had, it's getting worse. um, so the day after show, I tend to crash, and I have a day where I just literally exhausted. But I can sit on that day and think, well, I handled that really well, or I handled that really bad, and I doing better. But I don't think there's any real, just tea. I mean, where there's tea, there's hope. That's what they say.
Well said. Welcome, Firestar Championship Wrestling. Says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good
Evening.
evening." Um, Amy says, "Leaving the office, you cheeky git."
Oh, she's been to work, yeah. She's worked today for a change.
Now, out of all the events of Wrestling with Pride, you may like them all, but was there one? I would imagine this last show was probably like your favorite, unless you had like another favorite that really speaks out to you, or maybe a few.
Um, Actually, the last show wasn't my favourite. I was glad to get it
Oh,
done with, for all the right reasons at the same time. But my favourite one was Glitter and Grit, I think it was called. Yeah, I think it
oh,
was Glitter and Grit. Um, and I had Shea Monet and Jack Ripley on the card. And yeah, that I've said this to a few of the wrestlers I've worked with recently, like so, Fraser Gervin, Craig Berry. There's so many more. To sit and watch them wrestle in the ring that I've booked sort of the match of when I used to watch them on Instagram as a fan, it's just surreal. It really is surreal. Um, so Glitter and Grit was probably my favourite one from last year.
well said, well said. How do you support talent and help them grow?
Well, I think by giving them opportunities, but unfortunately, where you give opportunities, sometimes it gets abused a little bit, and your kindness can. I mean, it hasn't happened a lot, but your kindness can be used against you. I think it's all about, again, the mantra I live by is you're going to put the work in, you're going to get it back. If you're going to be proactive and you're going to promote not only what we do, what you do, but what we do as a whole, then I think that's what shows not only that you're marketing yourself, but the people that you're working for. And I think it's important that so for me, like if a talent member that I work with posts a booking post, I'll share it on our page instantly, because I feel I've worked with them. I know what they can do. I highly recommend them, and I'll share their stuff. And I think it's a message that I would send to all wrestlers. It's all well and good turn up on show day to do your thing, but if you're not going to put the work in beforehand, then you're not really doing yourself any favors, because there's individual wrestlers that I've worked with who have done that, and I've gave opportunities, I've put creative time into them, and they fell off, and that's on them. It's not on me, it's on them. But I'm all about creating opportunities and giving people the opportunity to tell me what they want to achieve. And I think I had a chat with who was I had a chat with recently about it. Might have been Venus. And I'd said, look, because she was like, I've got loads of ideas, and I think talent and wrestlers in particular can sometimes be very afraid of giving ideas because maybe they've worked places where they have been shot down. I'm not saying that in the case of Venus or anybody else, but it does happen. Um, so when I start giving people the freedom to give me ideas, it opens a new realm of your relationship with them, and I think that helps as well. So I think giving them opportunities to be creative, but also remind them that they have to put the work in from the minute they get the booking to the minute they leave the venue at the end of the show. They should be working. They should be, and this sounds really businessy, but somebody said this was recently, and it makes perfect sense. You give me a reason to put you on the show. You give the people a chance the reason to buy a ticket. So it's all about that process.
Okay. Do you want to tell us maybe about some upcoming talents that you're excited for coming to WWP, or are you going to keep those secrets for us to just remain and keep
Um,
up?
I think the majority I've advertised already. So we've got Visage coming in August for Ruby's birthday brawl, and that's going to be a show that Ruby um, is going to book the full show herself.
And that's on
Um,
August 22nd.
That's the one, August 22nd. So that is Ruby's show. I'll be helping her out, but actually, I think I'm on commentary for that one. But she
Ooh.
is going to be she's booking the whole show creatively. I'm letting her have a bit of freedom to do that because, as somebody who I rely on heavily, responsibility shared. I think it's a good thing to do, and I think she'll do a cracking job of it. She's been around wrestling for a long, long time. In fact, I think having her on as a guest on a show like this, I think would really help promote what she's doing because she does amazing things. I mean, sometimes I do want to punch her in the throat because she just talks too much, but that's the relationship we have. We bounce off each other really, really well.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, Visage. I recently met. Well, obviously, I've always known of the Gervins. I've announced Fraser Gervin, and he's already been on one of the shows. But I'd love to have Lewis Gervin and the Gervins as a tag team on. So that maybe you might see them later down the line. But I think most of the others I've already announced, the likes of Cherry Knox and Leon Graves for Horrorcore, Visage. Dead excited for that. Obviously, I've had Priscilla, who's recently just retired. We had Priscilla on last year. Luckily, I got in there before she retired. Another one of those trailblazers that I watched whilst I was sort of building coming out as well, coming out Championship Wrestling. It's one of the ones that I always wanted to get and managed to do it. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Like Statler and Waldorf, we are, she says.
Yeah, she always says that. I have no idea who they are.
Matthew says, "Good evening. Lovely to see the top promoter of Pride Wrestling in the Northeast. Right there. Top promoter of Pride, bro.
I'm still learning, but thanks very much.
Now, throughout your time, you may have had a lot of advice. Was there ever any advice that sticks out to you or anything you like to tell us that you were given?
I get so much advice, and I learn a lot more from watching people. Um, Certainly, I think I've learned a lot more of how not to do things than how to do things by watching people. But like watching an Alba show as part of the crew, or being part of an IWF show as part of the crew, or even watching a dropkick show,
Okay.
um, and watching how they do things, pick up things from what they do. Colin is another one of those people who, again, fountains of knowledge. Um, like obviously with Breakout, like I mentioned earlier, I was part of their first show, seeing how they operated in their setting, and yeah, nobody's really given us advice. They have, but nothing that has sort of broke boundaries. But I do take a lot of things from conversations with people like, obviously the creation of Wrestling with Pride was originally going to be Pride Championship Wrestling
Yeah.
(PCW), but it clashed with the abbreviation clashed with with Preston Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, and I reached out to the promoter Stephen, and I said, "Listen, I've got this idea. I was wanting to call it this. I know the and he raised some good points about the abbreviations being similar, and he wasn't like opposed to it. He just said he would rather that we look. Yeah, I look for something else, and actually, he helped us find the name, um, Wrestling with Pride. So I owe Stephen a lot of thanks for that. And he's another guy that again, I've pestered and inboxed. Kid Fight the same up at PBW, where Danny Kay, Rosie Knight, and co train at. Pester him as well. I'm always dropping messages. I'm not shy to ask for help. More importantly, if I need help, I'll ask for it.
Understood. What's something about Wrestling with Pride fans don't know about?
Um, I don't know. I think we're quite transparent with what we do. They probably don't know how much work goes on behind the scenes, but sometimes that works for us, not them. So I wouldn't bore them with that detail. But no, I think we're pretty transparent. We stay in our own lane. We do our own thing. We support those around us. We certainly don't like to get involved in anything online drama-wise. We tend to stay clear of that. I'm very sort of conscious that not everyone's going to like what you're doing, and they're going to have an opinion, and that's fine. They're entitled to their opinion. Yeah, again, that's it. Really, we're transparent.
Matthew says, apologies, I'm late to the party. I've been playing with Peter Pie.
Oh, you don't want to know about that. Just move on.
Okay. I've heard of Hannah's pie, but I haven't heard of Peter's pie.
Well, that's the same thing.
Oh, breaking the fourth wall of me now. I know more. Well, now you talked about how you support, like, you have LGBTQ groups and you're getting texted by people. How do you engage with the fans and build a community?
Do you mean the people that I'm sort of networking, or?
Like, how do you like engage with the people that like fans, like in general? Do you and how do you continue to build the community on the side?
I think it's about trying to develop what we're doing so that it's appealing to a lot of other people. An example would be the first posters that I made were very flamboyant, and I think they were over the top. And actually, I think what they did was, I think they pushed people away. They didn't bring people in. So, bit of moving around, and we've become, In fact, it was one of the barmen at the venue who said, "Poster put us off." Um, and to quote what he said, I thought it would be a lot of gays running around wrestling. Um, so I kind of tweaked what we've done. I mean, ultimately, it's about getting amongst the community and speaking to people, which is why I found there's a group in the Northeast called Queers of the North, and they're a social hub that allows all of the businesses within the area that can network and stuff like that. And I've been to another company called Connected Voices, which is not just LGBTQ plus people, but it's more about connecting like local businesses and community groups to work together to promote each other. And actually, I have found that since I've started doing those things and chatting with those people has really boosted our online presence. Instagram, for some reason, we're very, very popular on. And we've got fans like right up and down the country on there. Facebook, not as much. I think they come hand in hand, though. You've got to work with them together. But Instagram, we've grown a massive support locally on there.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Um, Out of all the times that as long as Wrestling with Pride has been going, what has been some of your favorite moments?
God, there's loads. Obviously, to see Priscilla wrestle Eddie Jade for the championship in the ring, that obviously Sean show that I'd booked. Um, just looking around, I tell you what was very, very special. And it's a bit of a side topic from Wrestling with Pride, but obviously I think Imperial Wrestling Federation did it better with how they done it. So they had their very first show,
Yeah.
and there was it wasn't I don't think it was a deliberate thing, but it was more of the way it was put together. Me, Colin, and Dagon came out together, and I think it was a show of solidarity, really. And that was in wrestling. I think working together is important, as I've probably said a number of times. For me, that moment, we didn't do that. We did something similar. I did a talk at the end of a show, but my favourite parts are just being around those people. You know, whether they're working on the show, whether they've come to support, being around those people. The backstage like camaraderie is always good, and I'm a massive hugger. I think I must hug a million people on any show day. Everywhere I go, I seem to get loads of hugs. I mean, that's because I'm a hugger. I like the hugs. But yeah, just being around the people that make these things special.
So you're basically gonna take Bailey's gimmick, right? The hugger's gonna hug. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that you guys got to share that moment. And even Dagon said that that moment was so important. And Miss Baker said, my favorite was the moment we had backstage just after the ending of the last show behind the curtain.
Yeah, well, that was what I was saying before. Before Amy joined, when I was emotional, when I seen Amy come to check where I was, because I'd sat there all alone for the main event, and but it was a moment I think I had to have that moment, because I think it's very easy to lose track of what you're doing and what you're building and what you've worked hard on. But until you have a moment like that where you're sat and you think, you think, holy fuck, like I've not only created this, but I've worked with such amazing people. Um, and yeah, it is. It's overwhelming.
Now, what's your take on the current state of pro wrestling?
As in WWE and all them.
Well,
What do you
in
think?
general, wrestling as a whole, indies, big promotions. What is your current state? I mean, current state, like current take on the state of wrestling right now.
Well, I think when talking about the big leagues, I think I tell you what ruins wrestling, pro wrestling in terms of WWE and AEW and TNA, the internet. I think
Okay.
social media has killed all aspects of wrestling. It's killed the hype. It's killed the surprise element. I think it's murdered the the unspoken secrets that we know. It has ruined all of that, and I think that WWE program Unreal, it's totally canned the whole thing, in my opinion. I mean, I remember watching Raw when you didn't know what the hell was going to happen because nobody posted it the night before,
Hmm.
and that's why I think independent wrestling has become surgent and very popular, because you might go to your first independent show and not know any of the wrestlers, but the more that you go, you get to know who they are and what they're about, and you cheer for them or you boo for them, and you never know what's going to happen at an independent show or who's going to show up. And there's been a lot of WWE stars and AEW who have fallen back down onto the independent circuit, who are appearing on the UK scene now. I mean, Johnny Storm, for example, he's wrestled on independent shows near where I live and etc. So yeah, and I think, to be honest, independent wrestling could learn a lot from just staying in their own lane as well. Like, I mean, I love what IWF do. I support Dropkick. I'm looking forward to seeing what Breakout do when they come back. Alba smashing it out of the park. Firestar doing good things. The successful run of shows. Um, and I know I think more recently the UWA, although I haven't caught much of their stuff. I've seen a few of their interviews on here. And for whatever reason they're doing it, and for whatever reason they're wanting to be part of it, they're giving something to the people, and that is the ability to go and spend between £10 and £20 on a ticket, as opposed to the WWE tearing your eyes out. Because wrestling should be accessible to everybody, and by that I mean to go to a show. So I think independent wrestling's there's a surgence of independent wrestling promotions, especially where I live. I named a few earlier: Full Tilt, MEW, Main Event Wrestling, North. There's a few further afield in Northumberland as well, and they're all doing great things. And you can go to a show there and get the exact same experience and buzz from wrestling there than you would get at WWE, where it's all spoiled because you're going to know what's going to happen the night before.
Pretty sad at times too when that happens because
It's,
nowadays,
it's and like I say, I remember I used to watch Raw, and you would never know what's going to happen, and then you'd say, "Oh my God, it's Kane!" Or you don't get that anymore because you know what's going to happen. You can predict it; it's very predictable. Whereas it never used to be. Never used to be.
that's where I've kind of considered like the indie circuit being like the new territories, if you know what I mean, like the territories of back in the day. That's how I've
Yeah.
always seen. You guys are
Yeah.
crushing it out there.
And I think it's important to stress as well, using the word territory, it sounds very like this is my house, you're not coming in, and obviously that you're right, it is territory. But
Yeah.
like, there's no reason why promotions can't work alongside each other and stay and do their own thing. It's well, why not? You know?
Matthew said the only disappointing thing about my IWF debut was Taylor not being there. And to speak on the point we were literally just talking about, like at this moment, he said, agreed. Shock factor has gone. Deep down, we all know that it's predetermined, but we used to buy into the illusion. I don't personally watch or follow any mainstream wrestling.
Yeah, he's bang on, and I think that's why the Attitude Era had something about it because social media was not really a thing. I remember when they first launched WWE.com, it was terrible. It was an absolute terrible sort of way of communicating with and watching what was going on. But yeah, the shock factor has totally gone, whereas independent wrestling can still give you that shock factor.
Matthew also stated when you were talking about Johnny Storm is one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
I've actually been on a show with him. He's a really, really nice chap.
I have no doubt. And Amy said, I can confirm Re North Wrestling. I got my first shot on live mic in a North ring.
Again, that's why independent wrestling is so accessible because you can go from watching it from the front row to refereeing
Yeah,
or ring announcing. Because I mean, don't get us wrong, it shouldn't be easy to do it, but if you've got the right drive and determination and you can show the skills, then I can't see why it shouldn't be encouraged. But I think there always some promotions blur the lines a bit. Um, and that's to them. That's what they want to do. It's fine, but I know from my point of view, I think you have to have a little introduction before you sort of step into that side of things.
funny thing, Johnny Storm was my last trainer, says Amy.
All right. She'll probably talked him to death. She's going to tell me off later on WhatsApp. She'll be ringing us.
Sean O'Reilly, welcome, sir, welcome. And Dagon stated, since 2025, independent wrestling in the smaller promotions has gotten so much stronger. We aspire to be on the levels of the North one day.
Yeah, I think a lot of promotions obviously look to the likes of North, especially in this area, as being the bigger promotions. Like I think Prime as well. They're another big unit in this area. But yeah, I think we can all have aspirations, and I think it's good to have them. And that's the thing about when I was saying earlier about we all like to support each other, but we all have to feather our own nests at the same time.
Well said. And Matt, you also stated with regards to dirt sheets, if the source is Wrestling Observer newsletter, you immediately know it's bollocks.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, before I do get to my last question, I would love to go over your last show and some of your previous shows and some that are coming up, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we were talking about, I believe this was last March, or was it this March? March 8th was Alive with Pride.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
What was the beauty about this event? What came up with the name? And because I noticed a lot of these do have Pride representations, and I love that. And I'm like, was this like something that you're like, I'm going to keep this around? Or was this like a one-time show?
Well, actually, it was quite a bittersweet one because Alive with Pride was technically the first show in Newcastle, but the last show that I did for Coming Out Championship Wrestling under the CCW banner. Um, so it was a bit of a bittersweet one, really. And there was a lot going on at the time, which obviously politics, etc. But that being said, we still we still went out there and did what we needed to do. We smashed the ball out of the park. It was special for all those reasons, but it was also special because the night, I think a couple of nights before that, wrestling with pride was already sort of an idea. It was Pride Championship Wrestling at that point. It was always going to be, after I spoke with those close to us, that was what I was wanting to do. So yeah, it was a cracking show. We had a lot of new faces appear who were obviously had struggled to get people to come to wrestle for us. But the future was bright, and it was a cracker. I'll be honest, my memory is terrible. I couldn't remember match for match what happened, what we had, but I know that we had a title change. We had two title changes actually. The Pittsburgh Women's Championship changed. Cody defeated Cora Moon, and UNG Mackie defeated Pride. Another great wrestler. He's been with us from the very beginning. But yeah, it was a cracking show.
Now, you said Glitter and Grit that happened on July 5th was your favorite show. Where did this come about, and why was this your favorite show?
Because the name was given to us by a member of the roster. Asked them if they had any good ideas for a show name. Not that I didn't have any. I just, again, I like to give them something to sort of put in on the table if they've got it. And the name came up, and obviously I had Shea Monet there, Jack Ripley. Who was there? There was I think Nico Astro was also there, and I had a lot of people who had watched wrestle. Obviously, we crowned our very first champion. I believe it was. It might have been that one. My memory's terrible. People in the comments might remind me. But yeah, it was just, I think because Glitter and Grit was kind of, it was definitely wrestling with pride. It was definitely what I wanted to do, although I had free reign before, and it just felt so much more relaxed than anything I'd done before that. Yeah, it was brilliant. But Bash and Biker, I think, was after Alive with Pride. We did Bash and Biker, which was the first show we did, which was, again, it was a cracking show. But Glitter and Grit was one of my favourites. I watched that one back quite recently, but again, my memory's terrible at the minute.
No worries at all. Thank you for even talking to us about it. We love to hear your thoughts. And you had another one called Pride and Punishment on November 29th. What was special about this one, and also where did this come about?
So this one was all about sort of wrestling with pride and the punishment of not. So the idea for me was every match had a stipulation where if you won, you went over, you would be given a reward. If you didn't, you were punished, whether it be suspended or faced a horrific ban. I think a lot of the rewards were about the tag team division that I'm building. So Danny Kaye, he won his match, so he was sent off to find a partner to take part in the tag team tournament. Sassy Bear Clarence, again, another wrestler I haven't mentioned as up to now. Phenomenal, great with the crowd. One of my favourites is Sassy Bear. His music changes a bit every time I see him, but yeah, Careless Whisper is my favourite song he comes out to. And
Great song.
Absolutely phenomenal song. He was sent out to find a partner, and he formed the Mullet Club with Cora Moon. Again, Cora Moon, fantastic sort of everything you want from a wrestler on this sort of show. Cora Moon defines it with a bright purple hair and a circus strong look. Again, Cora's been with me from the very beginning as well, so I thank her massively for her efforts and contributions. But that show was all about that, fighting with pride.
Get some comments because now we're going to go over Bash and Biker that happened. But Hybrid said Taylor is the most kind-hearted, nice-smelling, and handsome man in wrestling.
Oh yeah. So I always, I don't do it intentionally, but I always wear aftershave and coat. My biggest bugbear with wrestling is bad hygiene and people that stink like a barn house. So when I go to shows, I'm conscious that I want to smell good. And every time I hug, again, I'm a hugger, and I always hug Hybrid when I see him. and he'll always like, Taylor, you always smell amazing. So yeah, he's a handsome chap. If only he swung my way, I'd marry him. Breaking news.
Breaking news, breaking it all, guys. Dagon responds to what you said about Jack Ripley. Jack Ripley is awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's honestly, he's just he's just phenomenal. Everything about his character is great. I love him.
Ryan Chaplow, the Imperial referee, said, "Yeah, glitter and grit was the night the first Pride Revolution champ was crowned."
Yeah, that's right. Because Shea Monet won a contract to challenge for the belt and so on. Following that, yeah, again, Eddie Jade, the Pride Revolution champion. I elevated him to that level because of what he puts in terms of his support and sharing. So yeah, kudos to Eddie Jade. Great guy to work with. Love everything about what he does.
And Brian Chaplow, as you talked about earlier, how he's the referee, he just said, "I'm also the Wrestling with Pride referee." Yes, you are, sir.
Certainly is.
And I believe you also had Misha doing it for a good time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Misha was a lot on the shows a lot when I was with Coming Out Championship Wrestling. I think Misha's back with us in May helping out with some
Okay.
various things I've got going on. I have to confirm those things, but yeah, you can say that's chat with them. But yeah.
Good. Now, when it comes to Fashion Biker, you were talking about the Tag Team Championship tournament. I believe there was 2 matches on this card for that, correct?
That's good. Yes, there was. Yeah, there was Gen 1 versus the reformed Lilac Legion, um, and there was the Mullet Club versus Basically Bi. So the Mullet Club was Sassy Bear, Clarence, and Cora Moon. Basically Bi was Danny Kay and Rosie Knight. Again, 2 completely different sorts of teams. Basically Bi are dysfunctional. Rosie Knight doesn't want to be there. Danny Kay wants to win belts. They're a great dynamic. I've watched the show back again today, and to watch the dynamic between the two of them is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, obviously Gen 1 and the reformed Lilac Legion, and I'll take take quite a bit of credit for reforming of the Lilac Legion for this event and the next one, Pride Mania, because obviously they defeated Gen 1 to go through to the next round. So I'll be the one that reformed them, and I'll forever hold that title.
Hey, that's awesome. The Lilac Legion was very big for a good time until they had that whole thing of Persona getting sent to hell. And even when on their individual careers, they both had great individual careers, but seeing them come back together definitely was a big thing.
I mean, it was like they'd never been apart. I mean, you can never trust Persona as far as you could throw him. Despite how gangly he is, you could throw him quite far, but I still wouldn't trust him. Um, but listen, it was like they'd never been apart. They gelled well. There was poetry in motion moments. And Gen 1 are not a team to be, taken lightly. Pele and Grayson, again, very experienced on the tag team circuit elsewhere. Couldn't get the job done this time. Who knows what the future brings for them? I'm definitely keen to see what they've got to come back with after that loss. But yeah, Spawn, I've known Spawn from him training as a very, very, very young lad, to now seeing him wandering around with tattoos, stealing me hat and glasses and poking us in the ear. And he's forever going to be that. I will always hold a sort of a soft spot for Spawn because I've got a lot of respect not only for him, but his dad and obviously his family as well. And they've been through some really rough times. It's still good to see them chipping away and doing good at what they do. But yeah, Persona, it goes without saying, very, very, very talented individual. Knows exactly how wrestling works. I think he's been trained by people who know the business better than most that I've sort of dealt with down in some parts of the country. But yeah, again, absolutely fantastic.
Now, you want to tell us now this tag team title is going to be rewarded at Pride Mania, correct?
Yeah, so the Pride and Glory Tag Championships are quite a unique belt because they can be held by 2 men, two women, two non-binary, any combination of two or three or four. So they're going to be interchangeable between a team of 3 and 4 as well. So if a faction was to hold them, any two could defend them, or if there was a Survivor Series style match, 4v4, the belts could be on the line in that scenario as well. So they're quite unique. Um, uh, so yeah, the door's open for anybody that wants to challenge for them, really, and the belts will be on the line if we can get them in time. We're just still raising funds. We're trying desperately to get the funding for them, but I'm sure come May they'll be here. Yeah, and we'll be crowning them. So it'll be between Danny Kay and Rosie Knight, basically by and the Lilac Legion one more time.
Ooh, that's going to be a banger right there. Stay tuned for that, everybody. That's going to be an absolute banger. And before we get to the next part of the show, Amy said that was a fun night, almost getting kicked in the face by Donnie Bolt.
Yeah, Donny
And
Bolt has got he's very tall, but you wouldn't think for a tall guy he can do what he does when he goes aerial. But my God, Donny Bolt can fly.
I believe it. And Dagon said, Taylor, you know who I'd love to see at Wrestling with Pride? Blaze of Glory.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to see them as well. Again, another extremely well trained team who know tag team wrestling. And I think it's important when it comes to tag teams that they understand what a tag team is all about. Because I've seen some amazing tag teams in the past. The Working Class Militia, Ben Hampton, who's also Slugger Hampton, and he does other various things, and Mike Brown. Um, when I first seen the Working Class Militia, I kind of there was a story there as well that I was kind of dragged into with them, but everything about them to me screamed tag team. And I think when you see a tag team like that, it puts faith back in what tag team wrestling should be. It's the same with the Meat Factory. Craig Berry, who I've had recently on a show, and his tag partner, Kerr. They are a tag team that are just absolutely phenomenal at what they do, and that's why the division I want to be like that. The Gervins, I've mentioned them already. They're definitely going to be two people who you're going to see challenging for those belts in the future, I'd imagine. And the same with Horrorcore, Cherry Knox and Leon Graves. Absolutely great characters in terms of the aesthetic they have.
And when you were talking about the Working Class Militia, I believe Chris Onyx was a member for a time or two.
He was, yeah. But my sort of initial thing of them with them was just Slugger and Mike.
Oh, understood. Understood.
He wasn't called Mike, yet. He was called something else. It always Riley. Riley, I think his name was Grayson
Oh,
Riley. At least that was it. Something like that.
okay. Um, Dagon said, I may be biased here, but Lilac Legion is easily one of my top favorite tag teams I've ever seen. And he also stated, fun fact, Taylor, you announced Spawn's first match nearly 5 years ago.
I didn't know that. I did not know that at all. Be
Wow.
interesting to see what that match. Who was that match against? Then you'll probably pop it in the comments. I can't remember. Memory's terrible.
Yes. If you could tell us, Dagon, who was it that Spawn faced when Taylor first announced it? And Amy said, I remember watching a young persona have his first match as a teenager. Good times. Wow.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's been in the business a long time.
Incredible. And he's still got a whole career ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, this was a last minute match, what I remember, because I believe it was Fraser Gervan, if I'm saying his name correct, right?
Yeah,
He was supposed to be in a singles match, but it got turned into a fatal four-way with Craig Berry, Donnie Bolt, and Connor Malloy since his opponent couldn't show up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we had some booking things with Shay. So Shay went on to do something else, which is fine. These things happen. He's in very much demand, being as good as he is. So yeah, we threw Fraser in the mix in a fatal four way, and you know what it is. What a match! What an absolute match! It never stopped moving. There was so much going on. In fact, I'm going to send you the show for free to
Oh,
watch, um, providing you don't share it with anybody else.
oh,
Because I
yeah.
think you'd enjoy, the whole thing. It is a good event. I had me like that sort of what it was a big card with big matches, multi-man, multi-women matches. So it was always going to be a difficult one to execute, but I think we did it well. But yeah, that fatal four-way, fantastic.
I can't wait to see it, and I will not share it out because you told me not to. I will enjoy it as I watch it, my friend.
Well,
Thank you.
if you share it out, I'll do a Liam Neeson, and I will find you, and I will kill you.
I don't want to get killed, so I want to keep the skin on my body. But you also had I believe this is called the Bash and Biker Rumble, or is it just called the Rumble?
Yeah, so it's the Bash and Baker Rumble. The winner on this one, Jimmy Kumar won last year again. Fantastic on the coming. Big, huge. Oh, there's the dog. Sit down, you. Massive, big guy. Jimmy Kumar won last year. He didn't win anything. Unfortunately, he was just crowned the winner. But this year, it was to go on to face Eddie Jade. It would have been whoever won Eddie Jade's match, but obviously it was Eddie Jade at Pride Mania. So going forward, the Bash and Biker will always run into Pride Mania as an event. And yeah, so it got to Ewan G. Mackey sort of winning the match, and then Ewan asked me to congratulate him, and then behind my back there was a chair launched into us and a formation of sort of uprisers has developed. Venus, J. Robin, Sammy Sparks, and Ewan. So I'll be dealing with them in due course. But yeah, interesting times.
Yeah, I was gonna actually bring that up at some point that you are dealing with this new faction that seems to be gunning for you, and apparently they warned you.
Yeah, so they're just. I mean, not to go story wise, but they're just petulant little wazzicks basically, and I'll deal with them.
Understood. Understood. Dagon said that the first match that he's referring to at Spawn that you announced for his first match, Spawn and Dagon versus Walker and Tommy Diamond.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, yeah. I remember that now because I remember it was one that was the one where Tommy Diamond gets in my face. Yeah, there's a good picture of that I think somewhere. God, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I remember seeing and I believe Walker and Diamond at this time were a part of the Elite, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there were. Aye.
And in this Rumble, I know you just told us the winner, but we also had people like Dagon, Pride, Tommy Fierce, Craig Ryan, Jakob, Kofi, Jimmy Kuma, Lexi, Rainbow Renegade, Sylphrina, Piper Reynolds, and Venice.
Yeah, so it was. I think I wanted to just throw a mixed bag in there, really, of all different abilities and all different characters that could bring a bit of. And rumbles. When you're booking a rumble, it's quite a daunting thing because they're just quote to pardon the language, but they're just fucking chaos from the get chaos. And this one on paper was fucking chaos. And when I seen it was being planned and aged it, I was like, oh, this is going to be crazy. But actually, when I watched it back, the times I've watched it just back now, it was actually really, really good. And I think everyone in there gave something different. Like Craig Ryan came out, he had the crowd dancing. Then him and Piper Reynolds had a bit of a dance off in the ring. And I want to give kudos to a few people in this Rumble because they'd never been at wrestling right with Pride before. So Copy came out as Danny Kaye and dressed up as Danny Kaye, and he never stopped. He worked his arse off. When I seen him in action, I kept thinking he could win this, but he did a cracking job. Same with Piper, Sylphrina. I love to watch Sylphrina wrestle. Every time you watch Sylphrina wrestle, there's always something different she brings to the table. And in the Rumble, she showed that she can be quite tenacious, and obviously everyone was sort of a target for her. I mean, Dagon comes with the territory what you get with him. Same with you and J Mackey. J Robin again, another. He's been in the Rumble before. He was in it last year. But yeah, it was a big clunky Rumble, and we love a Rumble when it goes well, and I think it went good.
Will we be seeing another one at one of these next events you have coming up, or was this just like the only one of the year?
There'll be no more Rumbles this year because my heart
Okay.
rate won't take one. But I think it's, and I'll be honest, again, I said they're difficult to get together, and they either go one way or the other. They either go really well or they go fucking terribly. And yeah, we'll see one next year at Bash and Baker, because Bash and Baker will be one of the house shows that we keep on the calendar, as will Pride Mania. The other two shows will be interchangeable. But yeah, they'll be the two standards every year.
Okay. Now, going into Pride Mania, was this like what we would call your WrestleMania, your biggest show of the year? And where did this come about when you first made Pride Mania? And is this not, this ain't the first one either?
Yeah, it is the first one actually.
Okay.
It was because I've seen every promotion seems to have their own version of Mania. Um,
Okay.
I've seen various sort of names of it in the past. Like there's a promotion, Main Event Wrestling, have Way I Mania, and Way I is a thing that people in Newcastle say like, "Oh, Way I man," that sort of thing. So and it's a really really good catchy name. And I was like, "Oh well, Pride Mania. It's a simple one really, and it makes perfect sense." And when I put the name out, and DJB helped us with the font. In fact, DJB did the font because I kept messing it up. Mine kept looking like Lego, and his looked perfect. Um, I thought actually it's really, really good. And to be honest, Pride Mania, as to what it is this year, will not be what it is next year because the community event, I'm going to change that up next year. Or even though it hasn't happened yet, it's going to become its own season thing. So it'll have a different name. It'll be set in the summer. But this year, like Pride Mania will become a house show. It'll become a show that we do indoors with a full Pride Mania sort of thing. And the community Pride that I'm going to plan for next year, despite not having this one done, is going to be about showcasing wrestling, not just within our community, but everywhere else.
Okay. I like that. And it's going to be an outdoor event.
Yeah, so it's going to be. I mean, we do live in England where it rains majority of the year, so we have to sort of hope that we don't have rain because it will scupper what we've got planned. I've looked ahead and I've looked back at some of the weather reports for a similar day, and fingers crossed it's going to be dry. I don't mind if it's not sunny. I just don't want it to rain.
No, no, I get that completely. And that's going to be outdoor event May 23rd, everybody. If anything changes, go check out the Wrestling with Pride page and other pages. If you have any questions about that, I think you would be the one to answer those, unless it's
Yeah,
a
everything will be put out there. They're currently working on a poster for it, and there's an AI thing flying about with information on, but that'll become a full event poster. But that'll actually be two posters. There'll be the wrestling poster, and there'll be the community poster that goes out in the community advertising the full event as well.
well said. It's a privilege to watch talent like Spawn, Sylphrina, and Kopi and Piper Reynolds and so many other young talent develop their careers, says Amy.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'd use Danny Kaye as an example. So I remember when Danny Kaye first came to work with me back in Coming Out Championship Wrestling. I've watched him develop so much, which is why last year he won the Directors Award because of his development in wrestling, and he's getting around now. He was wrestling a few places in Scotland, but he's getting booked other places, and he's always keen to work elsewhere. And he's got all the right credentials, the drive. He's learning from some great people in Scotland. He works with Kid Fight, PBW, and yeah, again, he's a one to watch, and I think he's got the ability to go all the way.
And with Ruby's birthday brawl, it's going to be on August 22nd, like you said, brought to you by Ruby herself. What was the reasoning for this? Is this is the first one that she'll be hosting?
So she'll probably murder us for this.
'Cause you said that you guys have a close connection, so
So we're both the same age, and we both turn 40 this year. Um, So I'm 40 in July and she's 40 in August. So it was kind of well, I suppose a birthday present to plan a show is probably not a present, but yeah, it was my way of not only appreciating what she does for me and Wrestling with Pride, but also for her to have the ability to say that on her 40th birthday or in around that time, she ran her own wrestling show. Um, because I think if you've got the right mind for it, it's the natural progression to do. And I'm looking forward. She's already got some really, really good ideas. She's already made some quite good bookings, some of which have already appeared before, some of which haven't, like Visage. Ruby went out and did all the legwork for that. She done a contact and booked Visage for not just one show, but two shows this year. Um, and I've got all faith that she'll do a grand job. Obviously, I'll be on hand on the day, but it's all over to her really. I'll just be coming along, sipping tea, watching her do her thing. I'll be doing commentary for her. She won't be doing ring announcing that night, so we're going to need a ring announcer, which I think we've got that pretty much sorted now. Yeah, it's going to be a good opportunity for her to do something different.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can't wait to see it. And that will be August 22nd, unless date changes. Is this going to be an indoor, outdoor event that we
This
know?
is a normal indoor house show at our normal event
Okay.
venue in Baker. Tickets are on sale for that show already. You can buy them on Ticket Source, and the link is on the old pages. And the post will be coming out very soon.
Well said. And she said, "Ah, gotta love my road, son."
I don't know what that
Um,
means.
I don't either, unless I looked at it at the wrong time, but that's what I see. And now she's giving you the hands with the
Right.
heart.
No idea what
She
she
loves
means.
you. And the last one I have listed is for December 5th is Camp as Christmas. So you wanted like a Christmas one around Christmas time, and this would be your last event of the year.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Christmas shows. I think
Okay.
December can be an extremely expensive time of year for families and people who like to go out, and it is an expensive time of year. So but I did want to do something Christmassy to say we've done one. So Campus Christmas is this year's Christmas sort of number. Beginning of the month, not as bad as the middle of the end. Obviously, the end's terrible time to have a show. And we're going to just be all merry and Christmassy, and yeah, loads of good things planned for that.
I can't wait to see it, and I know the people can't wait to see it. And those were the shows to stay tuned for, everybody. And we talked about some of the past shows. And Amy said, "Love fellow Danny Kaye is my road child. Also got adopted as road ma'am for Piper Reynolds this last show."
Yeah, Amy signs to mother the young ones. She does.
Understood. She's that mother figure and somebody to look up to.
Aye.
Now, for my last question, sir, before we get off here and give our final thoughts, what do you want Wrestling with Pride's legacy as well as your own to be?
God. Um, Good quality. So this is the Wrestling with Pride legacy. Good
Okay.
quality, a good reputation, a safe place to work, um, with no sort of shady characters that create issues, and to be renowned for its inclusivity and provide for the community something different, and a place where people can get together no matter where they're from or who they are, be part of something. My
Okay.
legacy would be, don't really know, to be honest. I suppose just to help support people do what they want to do and enjoy what they do, give them that platform to do it, which is what it's always been about, to be fair. About giving those people who, again, like I said earlier, are great for bookings elsewhere in the year to have somewhere to call home. Not so much home as in like a cult sort of sense or mentality, but a place that they can sort of like say, Wrestling with Pride is a place I love to wrestle. I've been there all year, or you know, yeah, regular sort of wrestlers on the shows.
Okay. We love that. Thank you for that. And Amy said, "Love you, my unofficial ginger twin."
Yeah, love you too, love. Even though I want to punch you in the throat.
Also, I'm not trying to expose you live on the camera, but are you okay? Are you? How's your healing?
Yeah, it's going all right. I had a bit of a blip yesterday. I had to go and get the stitches checked, but yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I'm happy to hear that. True honor for you to come on here, express your story, and give me what you wanted to tell me. And thank you again for doing this with me. And you're always welcome on here. And I cannot wait for your next show.
Oh, appreciate it. Like I say, it's a shame you couldn't get yourself along to a show. Who knows what the future holds for you?
Who knows? Maybe I can maybe find a way down there in the eventual future. The future holds many of things and many of questions that still remain to be answered, as they say.
Yeah, well, what they used to say is anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation, anything can happen in life.
Well said, well said. And in closing, Taylor, I hope you have a great day and the rest of your night, actually, where you are at. I hope the night treats you well. Do you want to have any final thoughts before we get off here?
No, I think I've probably bored them all to death. I just think, like I say, support wrestling, support each other. If you can't do that, stay in your lane. Ultimately, like share. It doesn't cost you anything to do that when you see a promotion's work. And I'll be honest, like with Facebook, I'm terrible with sharing stuff, but Instagram I'm much better. Again, I need to find time to do that. But yeah, just stay positive. Yeah, and support each other.
Well said. And in closing, ladies and gentlemen, we all hope you have a great day, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all may be. Peace out.